Caleb Jones, Alpha 2.0, freedom-focused lifestyle design for men. Today I'm going to talk to you guys who are married, especially if you are traditionally monogamously married, the standard way most guys get married, which doesn't work anymore, but maybe you didn't know that when you got married. You guys who have marriages that are maybe problematic right now. Now, maybe you just got married and everything's fine because the honeymoon phase is still going on. The problems haven't started yet. Maybe you're in a marriage that's just kind of okay. And you're just kind of killing time until you die. I don't know what your scenario is. But you guys who are in marriages where you're having trouble, a question you have to ask yourself, and it's an important question, and it's a question you do need to ask, is at what point do I get divorced? Should I get divorced? I had to ask this question myself. A bazillion years ago, back when I was a beta male and I was traditionally married and I had to get divorced, I had to ask these questions myself. Should I get divorced? And if I do get divorced, what are the parameters under which I would get divorced? Here is my general answer to that question, because there is a specific answer. Number one is whether or not you are encountering a pattern of behavior in terms of problems from your wife instead of one-off occasional problems. No one is perfect, including you. There are days you have where you're an asshole. You're not very fun to be around, right? Just like there are days that she's going to be a bitch, right? It's just we all have bad days, right? Right? Some less than others. True, true, true. But if it's a problem that has come up and it hasn't come up before and it probably won't happen again or doesn't happen again, then fine. That's part of being with someone. It's part of any relationship above an FB, any relationship where feelings are involved. You're going to have some problems occasionally. Now, if you follow Alpha Male 2.0 models, drama is going to be very rare. But even then, especially if you're married, living with a woman, you can't have zero drama. You're going to have it occasionally. But if you have a pattern of behavior, a problem or set of problems that keeps occurring over and over and over and over and over and over again from your wife. Number one, you have to ask yourself, is this my fault? Because often it is. I'm about to release a book about this on open marriages. Often it is the guy's fault. So you have to be aware of the fact that hopefully it's not your fault. You need to be self-aware enough to know if that's your fault. But assuming that you've tried to fix it, or assuming you don't think it's your fault, or what have you, this problem that happens over and over and over again, that's when you need to start looking at making some major changes. That's the first criteria. The second criteria is even more important, and that is whether or not your wife is showing a willingness to work with you and fix these problems. If she is showing a willingness, especially through her actions and not just her words, if you bring these problems or a problem to her attention, and she gets mad and gets defensive like all human beings do, but then she calms down and says, okay, yeah, let's come up with a plan to work on this. Great. I would stick with a woman like that. Okay, even if you had a recurring problem, if she shows a willingness to address that problem and work with you, that doesn't mean she's going to fix it all by herself. There are probably things you need to do too, two-way street, right? But if she's showing a willingness to address these problems, then I would give her a chance. I wouldn't give her forever, but I would give her a chance to work on these problems, a few months or what have you. Okay, it depends on the problem, depends on the scenario. I can't give you specific time frames. But the point is, if it's clear she's willing to work with you on these problems, I don't think it makes any sense to divorce a woman like that, especially if everything else is good. Now, if she is not willing, if it is very obvious based on what she says or what she does, that she is not willing to address these problems, she says, F you, I'm not making a fucking change, this is all your fault. I don't have to do anything, I don't have to do this, I'm not going to do that, F you. She doesn't say these exact words, but that's her frame, that's where she's coming from. Time to start looking at getting divorced. And the reason boy do I know a lot about this. Back when I was a beta male and I got divorced, I had a wife like that. By the time the marriage was about to end, her attitude was, hey, none of this is my fault. This is all your fault. I'm going to sit back here and wait for you to fix yourself and wait for you to make all these changes. And then when you shape up, maybe I'll come around, maybe I'll do something. That was her attitude. She didn't say those words, but that was clearly her attitude. That's when I got divorced. Okay, so if she's not willing to solve these problems, you are with the wrong person. By the way, you guys, I know there are some of you out there. You might be one of them watching this video. If you are in a marriage like that, where you've tried to resolve these problems and your wife says, nah, and she just doesn't do it, and you stay with her anyway, every subsequent problem, every subsequent day of unhappiness that you feel is 100% your fault. Because you should have divorced her a long time ago. This was true with me, and this is true with most people who've gotten divorced. If you ask people who've gotten divorced, especially men, but some women too, they will tell you the same thing. I've talked to a lot of guys who've been divorced, a lot. And they almost always to a T will say, you know what? I should have gotten divorced 2 years before I actually did. Or a year before I actually did. Or 6 years before I actually did. Or 9 years before I actually did. Talked to a woman once who said, I should have gotten divorced 8 years before I actually did. It's very common. My parents got divorced 2 years ago in their 70s. In their 70s. And my dad said, me and your mother should have gotten divorced about 8 years ago. That is very common. Don't be in that category. I was in that category. I should have divorced that woman a year and a half. At least a year and a half before I actually did. You could make the argument maybe 3 years before I actually did. So I was in that category too. You don't ever want to be in that category. When it's obvious you have a pattern of behavior that she doesn't want to work with you to resolve, you need to go. You need to pack your shit and get out of there. How to get divorced, under what conditions to get divorced, the legalities of divorce, how to deal with children. That's a very big topic. And if there's a lot of interest in this video, maybe I'll do more videos on that topic. It's an important topic. So let me know if that's something you want me to talk more about. But the main thing is to make the decision and make the decision properly. Pattern of behavior and a completely unwilling wife equals divorce. Get the hell out of there. If it's a one-off behavior, that's okay. If it's a pattern of behavior, but she's clearly willing to work with you to fix it, okay, for a while. Now let me address that really quick. She says, okay, I'll do X, Y, and Z if you do X, Y, and Z, and you work on it together. Okay, so then 6 months goes by and it's still a problem. A year goes by and it's still a problem. Year and a half goes by, it's still a problem. She's working on it, kind of. And maybe you are kind of, but it's still a fucking problem. I didn't say wait forever. I said wait for a while. 6 months, 12 months, 18 months is still a problem? You're bullshitting yourself. Get out of there. This is not the person to be with. Cool? Join smic.com, my coaching and membership program. We discuss this topic and other topics. Check it out. Have fun. See you later. Bye.